These are the metaphysical teachings of P.L. Swan.
Hey, it's PL, and this video will be about meditation and just some basic thoughts on practice, some of the difficulties that might arise, and just some simple suggestions. To begin, I think it's important to realize the main thing is to be in a comfortable situation, however you choose to sit, whether that is cross-legged, sitting on a stool or chair, which some people find more comfortable, especially if they have some physical limits, or even lying down. I have been heard some people will do, although in my experience it's a little easier to sort of be lazy and doze off if you're lying too comfortably. I think the sitting position allows a certain alertness of mind that prevents, one sort of dozing or just letting their mind wander. Although, of course, the most important way to prevent your mind from wandering is to hold that awareness of your thoughts, to be aware when they arise, and then to seek to let them go and not to identify with them. The second point I would like to make is that one of the most important things is simply to keep sitting, even when you feel like you're failing in your meditation or you are feeling frustrated. For some people, it will help to set a bell or an alarm, something, a gentle alarm, that will tell them when, say, 15 or 20 minutes has passed. That way, when the mind, in its frustration, starts to feel like an eternity is already passed, and, maybe I've been sitting for an hour, and the mind will use this to try to stop the meditation. The small little ego mind that doesn't want to be frustrated, that doesn't want to be quieted. So sometimes it can help to set a limit, say, 15, 20 minutes, whatever you choose, and to have a gentle alarm or bell that will go off at a certain time. And so as you sit and you know that that will happen, then you can discipline your mind and make sure that you sit for that entire time, regardless of how the meditation is going. For myself, I prefer not to have any alarm. I simply sit and continue sitting and continue sitting, and it ends up being generally 20 minutes, maybe half an hour. But the main thing is when the frustration arises, to treat that in the same way that you treat your other thoughts. You simply recognize frustration. You don't latch on to it or identify with it. You recognize it as one more thought arising. This is the most important thing. I said in my first meditation video that it's almost paradoxical in the beginning, because you sit and try to recognize your thoughts when at that stage, before you get an outside perspective, you are identifying as your thoughts. But once you glimpse this quiet consciousness beyond your thoughts, even if it's just these little glimpses, then you have this outside place that you are, I was going to say you are at, but this is who you truly are, the deeper, quiet consciousness that is pure awareness. I call it, your soul, the deepest self, the most essential self. But when you get an experience of this, then it becomes easier to rest here in this place, and from there to recognize your thoughts as not being who you are, to recognize frustrations as not being who you are, to recognize, the sounds and the world around you, and eventually even your self-image as not being who you are. This is not easy. Especially, I find, the self-image is in a way more difficult to disidentify with than thoughts. Because you have this sense of yourself as you meditating. So you have this image, this concept, even this story that is very difficult to get past because it's not a thought. It's not a train of thought that arises in your mind. It's more like a background story or concept. Some people have talked about, the human experience as being our movie, the movie we're creating. In a sense, this is what it's like. It's like this movie of concepts that are not thoughts specifically in terms of, you're thinking about something specific. It's just this sense of yourself as a body and a mind, as someone sitting in a certain location doing a meditation. And to reach a point of awareness that's actually beyond that is very difficult. And I would not be frustrated if this does not occur for some time. But to return to what I began with, the most important thing you can do in the beginning of meditation is simply to keep sitting. As I said in my first video, be kind to yourself. When you realize you've run off on a train of thought, you've been carried off on this train of thought for some time, don't latch on to that realization and the frustration of it, but let all of that go as best you can and continue sitting. In time, if you do this, then you will have those moments when you actually are present as this deeper awareness that is your true self. And even if they are just moments, they will give you that perspective and that place and that new identity eventually that will really help you not to see your thoughts as who you are, but rather an aspect of who you are. Sort of like, a vibration or a color or like, something that's surrounding and flying around your true self, the center of yourself, which is pure awareness or pure consciousness, which is your soul. So in a beginning practice, be kind to yourself, continue sitting regardless of how you feel you're doing in meditation. If it helps to set a time and then have a bell that reminds you when that time is up, if that helps you, then do that. Be comfortable. Not everyone is comfortable sitting cross-legged, so a small stool or chair or cushion can be helpful to be comfortable, but also alert. And then just continue seeking to release the identification with the thoughts that arise, with the image of yourself that is ever present until we do reach that deeper awareness. And that's pretty much all you need for a simple meditation practice, which will give you, in time, this ability to begin mastering the mind, to begin moving past the constant noise and activity and conceptualization, the concepts and the frustrations of the mind, especially the ego mind. So I just wanted to put out those simple things, and also reiterate that I think a meditation practice is important for those seeking spiritual awareness. In the same way that some people can can get in touch with their deeper essential self through prayer, excuse me, or possibly at times through contemplation. Meditation is one of the best ways that we can seek our deepest self beyond mind, beyond ego, beyond thought. Contemplation is also good. And sometimes I find in meditation certain contemplations will arise, and even though you don't want to hold on to them and follow them in when you're meditating, you can also follow them at another time, or maybe when you're coming out of meditation. For instance, as I was meditating this morning, I had the idea how our self-image and thoughts and concepts of the world around us, the physical world around us, is like a movie. You know, I was meditating in a field, and there were the sound of distant cars, distant voices, distant boats on the water. And all of this was like a story that I was telling myself about what it was. You know, I was taking my linear human understanding of all of this, developed through so many years, and telling myself that story. And that awareness of this being what I was doing helped me to let it go. I also let go of exploring this concept for the moment because I was seeking to get past that in the act of meditation, to get to a place of more thoughtless awareness. But after the meditation, I thought about this, and it was an interesting thought which helped me in my meditation, and helps would help anyone to recognize that the mind is active even if we're not actively thinking. The story, the movie of ourself, of our life, of the world around us is, again, perhaps the more difficult thing to get past, because it isn't about specific thoughts. It's about the concepts we have built up through our lifetime. And so, with this, along with thoughts, it's just important to seek an eventual awareness that this is what it is, rather than being reality as it truly is. We exist in our mind within a world of concepts, and often constructs, shallow constructs, that might obscure reality as it truly is. The act of meditation is to seek over and over again to let this go, and to find that awareness that does exist within us, that is not attached to these limited constructs and concepts. The image of ourself, the image of the world, the image of our life, our lifetime. So this would be my my instruction, would be, again, for a third time to reiterate: keep sitting, be kind, don't be frustrated. Let that frustration be one more thing you recognize and move past. Seek to recognize your thoughts. Seek to recognize the concepts of reality and yourself that are there. Seek to deepen that awareness by letting go. The thing about meditation, it's not about focusing on a concept of letting go of concepts. Here's another one of the sort of paradoxical difficulties. When we're focused in the beginning, our mind is focused on the concept that we are meditating, the concept that we are trying to get past concepts. Again, it is very complicated, and don't be frustrated. Over time, as you find this place of awareness that actually is true awareness, that is not dependent upon human psychology, you will begin to have the ability to recognize concepts and thought without that recognition itself being a thought process. But if you do this for some time, if in recognizing thoughts you're thinking, oh, those are thoughts, I'm having thoughts, and you're thinking this, that's okay. It's an eventual process by which you get past layers of thought and concept to glimpse, in the beginning, just to glimpse that core, deeper awareness that is not dependent on mind. Continue. Keep sitting. Don't worry about the complexity. As you go, you will have more experience by which you can address the complexity of the mind, of the concepts, of the thoughts, of the movie, of yourself. So continue. Be kind, keep sitting, and in time, a deeper awareness will come